It is finally happening. After brand new quotes from team president Pat Riley, he suggests everything is going to change this offseason. I'm here to break down the quotes as well as why this should have Miami Heat fans fired up about a drastic change going on down in Miami this offseason to be relatively competitive next season in the Eastern Conference. We'll break down all of the quotes on this episode of Heat Digest, so let's not waste any time and get right to it, breaking down how Pat Riley is flipping the switch down in Miami. Now, we're going to be citing an article written by Anthony Chang, a beat writer for the Miami Herald, specifically the Miami Heat. But first, we're going to cite the tweet posted by NBA Central. It gives us really the initial quote that we want to focus on from this article. And again, shout out to NBA Central on Twitter for posting it. And it goes on to quote Pat Riley from that Anthony Chang article that we're going to pull up in just a second, saying Pat Riley calls out those who have been disrespecting Heat culture, saying, quote, "I'm proud of the culture. I'm proud of the environment that we have created over the years for everybody here inside who really knows it. And for the people outside who don't really know it but want to comment on it, and because it's fashionable to comment on it and criticize it, to hell with them." And that's the end of the comment from team president Pat Riley on really the bystanders, the people standing on the outside looking in, judging and critiquing the Miami Heat culture that has been discussed and established for over a decade up to this point. And it seems like it becomes more and more of a talking point year after year, regardless of whether or not there is success or failure in the Miami Heat organization throughout the entirety of that NBA season. Now, this past season obviously was not the most successful one for this Miami Heat team, specifically for team president Pat Riley. After the entire Jimmy Butler saga from the start of, I should really say, the start of last offseason all the way up until the NBA trade deadline this past year on February 6th, all hell broke loose in that tenure. Jimmy Butler, in the comments made by Pat Riley, telling him to, quote, keep his mouth shut, where things really started to unravel. And then we went through the first month of the season. Butler was in the lineup. Butler was out of the lineup for one reason, for another, then another. And then there was conversations. Then there was more drama. And then we got to the trade deadline. And then basically all hell broke loose. And then for the final 2 weeks, then Butler was traded. He ended up in Golden State, who were just eliminated yesterday from the Western Conference playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jimmy Butler's old team, old stomping grounds. He was getting booed the vast majority of the night, every single time he touched the basketball last night in a closeout game for the Minnesota Timberwolves, where Jimmy Butler wasn't great. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't great in the sense of efficiency, shooting the basketball, and the lack thereof shots he actually did attempt, and overall just wasn't the greatest performance. So there's a lot more of a conversation surrounding Butler and whether or not Pat Riley was the right businessman in this entire situation, getting rid and dealing Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline, despite whether or not he wanted to. It seems like it turned out to be one of the better plays, as again, Jimmy Butler's sidekick, in the sense of Steph Curry, was taken away from him due to injury, and Jimmy Butler without Steph Curry was a shell of himself. There was a lack of aggressiveness, and along with that, there was a lack of efficiency. And again, he just wasn't playoff Jimmy. He wasn't the guy they went out and acquired. He wasn't the guy they went out and paid all of that money and hoped to be the leader when Steph Curry was not on the floor. And it sucks for Golden State. It makes Pat Riley look a hell of a lot smarter than he did earlier this season during the NBA trade deadline when he did deal Jimmy Butler to Golden State. But again, that is another conversation for another day. Let's finish citing this article written by Anthony Chang. Again, Pat Riley has a message for those criticizing Heat way of operating. Quote, "I'm proud of the culture." And that's the end of the quote from Pat Riley. If you click on the photo of Mr. Riley, it takes you to the article where we're going to cite two specific quotes. The first one is as follows. Quote, "We got a great culture and hasn't been crushed," Riley continued. Quote, "And just because there were some issues this year that were not culture-oriented, they were player-oriented. I'm talking about the Butler situation. Our culture is the same. It's a work culture. I believe in the statement. I know you're going to throw up if I say it. Hardest working, best conditioned, more professional, unselfish, toughest, nastiest, disliked team in the league. About 4 of those things we weren't this year, and we have to adjust those. I'll never change my thoughts on that. And that's one of the, again, the first of the two quotes ended by Pat Riley. This is exactly why we love Pat Riley. This is exactly why we love this Miami Heat organization. They accept the fact that one, they have to be gritty. Two, or let me rephrase that. They accept two things. The first thing is the mentality and presence on the basketball court, the overall grittiness, the toughness, as well as just not allowing anyone, and I mean anyone, regardless of the team they play for, the coach they play under, the organization they play for, whatever it may be, no one to allow to push them over. No one's going to just bully them in any type of way. But then off of the basketball court, when they're not playing their absolute hardest, when they're not the grittiest guys in the world, off the court, they're respectful, they're professional, they know how to be pros, and it translates. They are good at being both sides of the professional athlete. When on the floor, it's business as handled. And that's just the way it's going to go. And they're going to be gritty. They're going to be mean. They're going to bully you about it. And that's just the way it's going to go. And they're trying to be as efficient in doing that as possible. But when it comes to being off the basketball court, you are a pro's pro. You are a professional athlete. You are going to be respected in the community. You are going to be involved in the community, especially in Miami. And again, you are going to be loved. And that's really what it seems like Pat Riley's entirety of the goal is in Miami with this organization, establishing this culture. Come in and be the dog on the court. Don't let anyone bully you. I want you to bully everyone. But the second you step off the court, I want you to be a pro's pro. I want you to I want you to be beloved by the entirety of the community, by the fan base, by the rest of this organization. And again, once you step back into that organization or step back into that locker room, back onto the hardwood, all hell breaks back loose and you're back to that dog of a player who's going to handle everything aggressively and accurately and efficiently and get the job done while still maintaining that presence off the court. Jimmy Butler, obviously, like we addressed earlier in this video, and plenty amount of times on this channel earlier this season and when our season was still going in the past offseason. The Jimmy Butler thing was he was getting into altercations at Miami, local Miami places. I can't remember if it was a pickleball place or exactly where he was, but again, I remember covering it on this channel where there was some type of skirmish. There was no actual strikes thrown in that altercation, but again, it was right around that trade deadline, right when the talks about him being possibly traded out of Miami were skyrocketing, and it seems like the locals were even getting upset about the entire situation. Now, whether or not it was a diehard Miami Heat fan that came up and started questioning Jimmy Butler and giving him a hard time and doing this, and Jimmy just wasn't taking it that day, that is a possibility, because I genuinely don't know the entirety of the story, but I did watch the video. There was comments on it, there was speculation on it, but again, it was just speculation. But that speculation was the fact that Jimmy Butler got in an altercation at some type of local place in Miami, and again, it was just a week, if not 10 days before the NBA trade deadline was going to commence, and we know the conversations that were going on in the midst of all of that. Now, the last quote that I'm going to highlight, again, from that article written by Anthony Chang was, quote, "Until you change something, then the same thing is going to happen," Riley said. So we have to make some changes philosophically and also make even maybe even personnel-wise. End of the quote. I apologize. So Riley, like we mentioned earlier in that postseason press conference just a few days ago on this channel, he once again is referencing the ability and possibility of going out there and making some personnel changes this offseason, I should say, that are going to be a drastic change to this Miami Heat organization. Something we've mentioned a bunch in Giannis, players like Damian Lillard, players like I'm going blank. De'Aaron Fox this past season before he went to the Spurs. Kevin Durant is going to be in that conversation. Giannis, like we mentioned earlier. There's going to be a lot of players that are possibly up for grabs this season if the Miami Heat go out there and try hard enough to make a big enough splash. Trae Young could possibly be another option. Zion Williamson could possibly be another option. There's going to be an ample amount, as well as all the free agents that could be available, regardless of the trade required to go out and get them. And again, this Miami Heat roster as of right now, going into 2025-2026, it looks dandy. Following next year, there are only 4 players on or under contract going forward. Bam, Tyler, Andrew Wiggins, and Kyle Anderson are the only 4. The other 3 are are rookie contracts. Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Pella Larson are the only 3 players outside of those 4 that we mentioned earlier, and they're all on rookie contracts. It's going to be very interesting. The Miami Heat have to do something drastic coming up to really make a change and really a splash. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. I have faith in Pat Riley. I think he's going to do a great job this offseason and really try to prove everyone wrong. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.